When I came out of my doctor's office this morning, and I'm recording this on March 3rd, 2023, I came across an image a story, I should say, that absolutely disturbed me. But when I scrolled through the timeline, I came across images that absolutely almost made me want to throw up right there as I was walking out of the building. And first off, let me give a shout out to Kid Gravity, because he was the first person I saw actually post about this on his Twitter account. About this man by the name of Khalil Azad, who you see right here in this picture. Now, y'all will probably look saying to yourself, Taurean, why did you title your thumbnail that way? That's because it's true. If you saw the images I saw, this was not how he looked when he was found. Khalil Azad was found, his body was found inside of what looks, I believe, to be a lake or somewhere where there was shallow water. Again, another incident with shallow water. As you can see by this post by this woman by the name of Pretty ATM, she said the Khalil Azad story should be trending. The details don't add up. No way a 6-foot man drowned in 2 feet of water and the damage done to his corpse was solely the result of that. What you're seeing is an image of how Khalil Azad looked when he was alive. I will not post these images of how he looked when he was found dead. Think of Emmett Till or Kendrick Johnson, and that'll pretty much give you an idea of what you would see when you find or see the last images of Khalil Azad. I'm going to read this article coming from care11.com. It's not even that many write-ups about this. Like, if you really want to know information pertaining to his story, you would have to type his name into like Twitter or Instagram and see what other stuff has been written up, because there's like absolutely no media outlet talking about this whatsoever. None. The images that I saw of him that absolutely just wrecked my brain was on Twitter. And I wish I had not seen them. I cannot even unsee them as I'm talking to you right now. I cannot get that imagery out of my head. It was absolutely disturbing. Posts circulating on social media have led to questions around the official law enforcement reports in the death of Khalil Azad. Family and community members are questioning the official law enforcement accounts of the death of a black man in Robbinsdale last summer. So this was last summer. This wasn't recent. This did not just happen. This was last summer. And we're just now hearing about it. Sounds like a cover-up to me. Social media posts began circulating in late February with graphic images purported to be the body of Khalil Azad, alongside demands for answers about whether Azad actually died by accidental drowning as claimed by authorities. Trust and believe, if you saw the images that I saw, this was no accident. Far from it. Robbinsdale police responded to the social media post in a press release, claiming in its report that the driver fled a traffic stop on July 3rd, 2022, then was found dead in Crystal Lake 2 days later. Crystal Lake. Now, for those of you who are familiar with that lake, is more so in fiction rather than reality, is with the Friday the 13th movies. You know, Jason Voorhees and whatnot. But that's the story that the report was claiming, that he fled a traffic stop. How him fleeing a traffic stop led to what we saw in those images doesn't make sense to me. I feel like they're insulting our intelligence once again. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office later identified the man as Azad and listed the cause of death as accidental freshwater drowning. Again, if you saw those images, this was no accident. That's their way of doing it so they don't have to do an investigation. Robbinsdale police claim a review of body-worn camera footage showed its officers had no contact with the driver who fled the scene. The department also challenged social media claims that named a specific police sergeant, saying he was not on duty at the time. Black Lives Matter Minnesota is among the community groups calling for the mayor of Robbinsdale to release all body cam footage related to Khalil Azad's death. A candlelight vigil was set for Thursday night at Crystal Lake, where Azad's body was found last summer. My thing is this: did this happen? It happened last summer. Why are they just now reporting about it if they have nothing to hide? It sounds to me like they were trying to spend all of that time trying to cover up what they actually did. Now, while I cannot show you the images, I'm going to describe to you to the best of my ability on what I saw, because I only saw two of them, and that was one was worse. The next one almost made me want to just drop my phone right where I stood. It was that bad. I'm not, like I said, I'm not even over exaggerating what I saw. The first image I saw, it looked like it was his back, because he has locks. As you can see by the picture, he had locks. No, actually, it was three pictures. He, as you can see right here in this image, he was fairly light on the light skin side. When they found his body was so badly decomposed that his skin tone changed. He was more darker in skin tone. It almost looked like he almost looked like my complexion. If you see how I looked, he looked like my complexion, but very decomposed. If we want to talk about how his skin looked when he was found. One of the images I saw was a close-up of his mouth, like his lips, and he had looks like he had scratches around his mouth. The other image I saw was the back of his neck. It looked like the back of his neck it looked like, how someone gets like a burn? Maybe like a 1st-degree burn, but it was a big one because it was pink and red on the back of his neck, like a slab of skin was ripped off. Like, that's the best way to describe it. Now, this last image was the one, and that's when it showed his face. His face looked like it was pushed in. His eyes looked like they were about to burst out of its sockets. His nose was crushed. He looked like one of those, you know how you have those inflatable clowns? He looked like that, but it was deflated. He looked deflated. Like, when you look at him in this image right here, if you was to put up side by side, if you put up a picture of how his face looked after he was found deceased, you would think they were two different people. That is how horrible he looked when they found his body. Now, going back to what it says right here, there's no way a 6'2" man could have drowned in 2 feet of water. That is extremely shallow to him. It's not like they say he was in 12 feet of water. They found him in 2 feet of water. I'm telling you, it's definitely red flags all over the story, and there is definitely way more than what they're telling. And they are definitely covering it up. In my honest opinion, Khalil Azad was murdered. In my truthfully 110,000% perspective, this man was murdered. I am not believing that he just drowned in some water. Not after seeing those images. There is no way. And the fact that they hid this from the public for since the summer, no, I'm not buying it. and neither should you. Anyone who's listening to this story right now for the first time, or if you've come across it before I put this video up, there is no way you can sit there and tell me with a straight face that this guy drowned himself. And I don't even believe the part about the fleeing the traffic stop. And if he did, my thing is, were they after him? And like they said, release all of the body cam footage. It's some shaky stuff going on. But yeah, those images are things of nightmares. Like, really, if you don't, I would say, don't go looking for those images that I just described to you if you don't have to. I implore that you don't, because it's gonna mess with your mind for a little bit. It's still messing with minds. It's that bad. It's one of the most horrific things I've seen so far this year, truthfully and honestly. And I thought seeing what happened with Tyree Nichols was horrible. What I saw with this one, it completely eclipses that. So if we saw how Tyree Nichols looked. Keep in mind what I described with him, and you'll understand why I say that. But I hope that his family does not give up on this story or this fight for justice for their loved one. And now that, you know, the story is starting to make its rounds, hopefully more and more people talk about it, because mainstream media ain't touching this one with a 10-inch pole.